Hi guys, it's been a while. I didn't do a tutorial last week, you may have noticed, but I'm going to do one today. And this is a request actually, and I'm sorry I can't remember your name, but somebody requested that I do a blue Caribbean calcite, so that's what I'm going for. I've already practiced it and it came out pretty nice. What you're going to need is mainly translucent clay. So what I've got here is, and I've broken it up into like different sections as well. So this is white translucent, Premo white translucent. So that's one strip from the block, along with a strip of Cernit translucent. The package is broken, fallen apart. Glitter silver for one section. And then I've got some more white translucent. Now you can use any translucent. Premo is all I've got. I would have preferred probably to do this with Cernit because it's a bit whiter, but this is all I've got at the moment. So I've got another strip of translucent, and I'm going to add 2 balls of white Premo, 2 little pea-sized balls, and that's going to go through the pasta machine and thoroughly mixed and rolled out onto a number 7. And then I've got another strip, and this is roughly one strip from a 2-ounce Premo block, as is this. That's going to go through the pasta machine and rolled onto a number 7. And then I got 3 equal-ish sized blocks, and that's equivalent to 2 strips cut into 3 portions. And then one more strip cut in half, and on this one I've added 2 pea-sized balls of Pardo transparent aqua and 1 pea size of metallic, Cernit metallic green gold, and then another half a strip of the Cernit silver glitter. And then here I've got 8 equal sized squares, and I just used this little cutter of translucent again. These are all rolled onto number 5. You'll need a brush, some white pearl mica powder, some translucent liquid clay, and I'm using 2 alcohol inks, both from the Cernit range, one in brown and one in blue lagoon. I'm hoping I've remembered everything, but we'll see. Don't hold your breath, guys. Alright, so I'm going to go and mix in the white into this and roll it onto a number 7. Roll this onto a number 7. Mix the blue and the green into each of these and roll those onto a number 7 as well. And I'm going to roll this little piece out onto a number 7 as well. So everything's a 7 except for these squares. They're on a 5. So I'm going to go and do that and I'll be back. So I rolled out my translucent. This is rolled onto a number 7, as I already stated. 0 being the thickest setting on my Atlas 150. So this is quite thin. And then I mixed in the white into this strip. You can't see all of it. It's kind of hanging off my tile, but there it is. Again onto a 7. I did add another pea size of the Pardo translucent aqua into this. It wasn't quite blue enough, so 3 pea sizes instead of just the 2. But what I'm going to do is take just a little bit of that, and I'm going to add some alcohol ink if I can get it off my tile without ripping it. But I'm going to keep this as is. I've got my translucent silver over here rolled onto 7, and also the translucent with a little bit of green mixed into it. So I'm going to try and make a little bit of room here because I'm a little squashed, and I'm just going to move these over to one side for the moment, and we'll come back to those. A bit broke off. Yeah, I've really got no, and don't forget I've still got these 3 blocks up here, but I'm going to be incorporating those down the road. So I'm just going to put my thin colours over to one side, and I'm going to take that little bit that I just took off, and then obviously we've still got these 2 bits as well, but that's for down the road. Right, so I'm going to add a little bit of this Cernit Blue Lagoon, and the lid broke on this, so I have to stick my brush in there. So I'm just going to stick my brush and brush it over. Let this dry, and then pass it through the machine to thoroughly mix it. So probably 2 drops, not a great deal. So there's that, and I'm just going to move this out of the way, let it dry, and pass it through the machine to mix it. Okay, I need wipes. I need wipes. Oops. I don't like a mess. I make a mess, but I don't like mess. And then on these here, on 4 of the squares, I'm just going to add a drop of this brown alcohol ink, so just a drop on each one, like so. And obviously that needs to be left to dry, and that will also get mixed. No, that's not getting mixed in, that's staying on the surface. So I'm just going to brush that over, like so. So that's just going to sit on the surface. Okay. And I like to brush over several times. It helps it to dry quicker. But I am going to put it to one side and let it completely dry, along with the other squares that are still yet to be used. Oops. So I'm just going to put these out of the way as best I can. And then what I'm going to do next is wipe my desk down and bring over the strip of silver and the strip of translucent and a paper towel, because I don't want it to be wet. So the strip of I can't get my words out, guys. The strip of translucent glitter silver and the strip of translucent on its own, but I'm also going to take from the translucent with some white mixed in it. I'm going to take some of that as well and just roll that up into a ball or whatever, or a sausage log, whatever. I might just need a little bit more than that. So just from that strip that you already rolled out, you're going to keep dipping into that as we go through. Alright, so the trans, the silver, and the trans mixed with white, and this is just going to be a chippy choppy, but it's not going to stay chippy choppy. It's going to what am I doing? It's going to be more than that. So I'm just going to literally chop all this up. Chippy choppy chippy, chippy choppy chippy choppy. And this, just rough chops for now. Doesn't matter a great deal because they're going to get chopped even more. So I'm actually thinking I'm not going to use all of this. I'm just going to take a little bit away. I'm thinking that was probably just a tad too much. Okay, so once you've got all your bits chopped, you just give them a quick mix together. And then we'll go back and cut more, so it doesn't have to be precisely chopped at this point. I'm just going to grab a little measuring spoon, and I'm just going to throw some of this on there. That's probably enough, just a little bit, just to help separate those chunks. And I'm just going to toss that in there. Like so. And once you've got all those little pieces coated, we can go back in and chop some more. Okay. So, more chopping. Like this. liquid translucent clay, just a drizzle over there, and then it's just going to get formed into the standard chippy choppy block once you've got all those pieces nicely coated. And I'm just going to form that into a block. So I've got all this stuck together now, and I'm just going to form it into a block like I said. Oops, it's a little wet still. Okay, so make sure it's all nicely pressed together in your block, but then we're going to take this a step further and chop it even smaller. And this is going to help give some nice pattern and fragments to the piece, the block. So I'm just going to take slice after slice and do this and just cut through over and over again, and then kind of just pile it on top of itself like so. Take the next slice, same thing, just cut through, always in the same direction, we're not doing different directions. Kind of pile that on top and cut through again. And I'm probably going to do this a total of 3 times. So take each slice, slice through, pile on top of the one that you've already made, and keep doing that. And I'm probably going to do that 2 or 3 times. I'll let you know how many times I do it when I've done it. Okay, so I've repeated that 2 more times, and now it's in a rough stack again like this. So I'm just going to, and each time I did that, by the way, I form it back into a little bit of a block, not majorly, but just so it's all stuck together, so it looks like this. But now what I want to do is do it one more time, like so, on each slice that I cut away. Actually, I'll make that a little bit of a thicker piece. Cut through again like so, and then I'm going to take some of this translucent that was already rolled out, just a section of it, and place, wait a minute, what am I doing? I need to form this into a block before I do that. So you're going to take each slice, chop it like this again, form it into a rough stack, and then add little bits of translucent here and there, and it doesn't have to be neat and tidy, it can just be randomly, you know, placed like so. And then you're going to take your blade, blunt side down, and cut through, going in the same direction that you've already been cutting. We're not doing crisscrosses or anything like that, just straight through. And this is just going to give some extra fractured look to the final block. Alright, so let's take another slice, same thing, chop it all up again, put it on top of the existing stack. Oops. Oops. Keep saying oops. Just put it on there. Form it back a little bit, and then we're going to take some more of the trans, which is really sticking to my tile, but that's okay. Like so, and then again blunt side down, cut all the way through, and rinse and repeat with the rest of this until you've used it all. So I carried on doing that, and I've put my final little piece of trans on the top, and I'm just going to do one final cut through like so. I'm pushing down fairly deep, by the way. It doesn't necessarily have to go all the way through to the bottom, it doesn't matter if it does, but we're just creating some fractures. Okay, right, so there's a lot of chopping involved with that, but this is what you should end up with, something that looks like this. And I'm just going to now compress this into more of a block again, like so. Okay, so there's block number 1 done. Right, so that's the chippy choppy on steroids, as I like to call it, block ready to go. Okay, so I'm just going to put that over there for now, and now I'm going to bring over those squares that I put the brown alcohol ink on, along with the translucent squares that had nothing on them, and I'm literally just going to stack brown, trans, brown, like so, and then I'm going to slap a little, what am I doing? Yeah, I need to put just the thin trans on there as well, but that's stuck, so I'm going to have to remove that. And again, it's pretty random, it's not, doesn't have to be perfect. I don't know whether this is the tile is making everything stick all of a sudden, because it never used to do this. I might need a new tile, it might have so many kind of blemishes in it. I'm not sure, but everything's really sticking to it. Alright, so I've got one little layer done there, and all I'm going to do now, and I forgot to mention this, is get my needle tool, and I'm just going to push it in and kind of, you can drag it along. You're just making a bit of a pattern doing this, like so. So I'm just pushing that in, and I'm taking my blade, blunt side again, and I'm going to cut some lines going through as well, going in the same direction, like so. Another piece of the brown, another piece of the trans, same thing, push through and drag. Like so. Blade again. I don't know why I put that thin piece of trans on there. Didn't really need to, so ignore that bit, guys. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's not necessary. I don't know what I was thinking. So it's just really stacking the brown squares and the translucent squares. And I'm wondering if I've actually made enough. I might have to make a little bit more of this. I'm just going to see how this looks. I might roll out one more square of each, to be honest. I don't think it's quite big enough. Same thing, just drag through like so, and then the blade. And yes, I am going to make a little bit more of this guy. So I did four, but I've only used 3 of the trans. So I am going to roll out a little bit more onto a number 5. Okay, so I did roll out some another 2 squares of brown and 1 more square of trans, and I am actually going to take some of the trans mixed with white and throw some of that in there as well. So I'm just going to pop that on top of there like so. Add some more brown, a piece of trans, a little bit more of that trans with white, and I'm going to just do the same thing, just push it through like so, just to make a little bit of a bigger stack, guys. Didn't quite make enough. This was quite challenging to me, but not so much the techniques, because it's not techniques that they're not techniques that I've not done before, but trying to work out how much clay to use and, you know, proportions and everything. So when I did my first block, it was huge. The block was absolutely huge. It's like, no, I really don't need to make that much. So I tried to downsize it, but I think I went a little bit too far with the downsizing on this block anyway. Okay, maybe just a little bit more of that trans with white in it. And you can see I'm not putting on perfect sheets. I'm just, you know, roughly placing it. And the last piece of trans on top. And same thing, just push through, kind of drag it a little bit, and then the blade. So that's the second block finished. Like so. Okay, maybe just a few more cuts here. And that's the second block, and it's not as big as the chippy choppy, but it doesn't need to be. Okay, so I'm just going to form that into a nice little block as well, put it to one side. Okay, so that's what it should look like, and you can see the colours all being pushed through the stack. Whoops. So there's that one. Alright, let's get one of those chunks that I talked about and just give that a quick condition. This clay's already quite soft, but I'm just going to form it into a neater little block like this, and you don't need a great deal of translucent for this part. And I forgot to mix this in, so I'm going to go off camera and mix that alcohol ink that I put on the blue, and again roll it onto a number 7, and so I've mixed that in, and I've brought in the other piece of the blue that I did, and it's the same thing. I'm just going to take off random little pieces and just kind of place it here, there and wherever, and some of the darker blue as well. See what I mean about this tile? I don't think it's the clay, guys. I do think it's my tile, because this didn't happen before. I think I need to get a new tile along with my new craft room. Yay! Which, by the way, even though it's a slow process, because hubby has to work a lot, so obviously he only gets the weekends to do it, but the walls have been painted now, and the ceiling has been put in with all the spotlights in it and everything. So the next thing now is the floor. He's going to tile the floor. So it's getting there. It's slow, but it's getting there. Anyway, back to this. So I'm just randomly stacking a bit of everything, a bit of the dark blue, the light blue, the translucent, and then I'll be using some of the translucent mixed with white as well. And I'm just placing it wherever, no particular order. But and not necessarily full strips either, to cover, you know, just little torn off bits. And same thing, just going to take the blunt side of the knife and cut through in one direction only, like this. And what I also like to do is kind of get my blade at a slight angle and push in that way as well. Okay, so you're just pushing that colour through the little block of trans. I'll do one more layer and then I'll do the rest off camera until I've used all of this up. So I'm just breaking off strips. And I don't want as much of the dark blue, so I might not even use all of that, but we'll see. A bit more of the trans on top. Oops, stuck together. And cut through again, blunt side down. So I'm going to go and do that until I've used all of this blue. I might not use all of the dark, we'll see. But any left over from this will be nice for just a regular chippy choppy, seeing as it's mainly translucent, so it won't go to waste, guys. Whoops. Alright, so I'm going to carry on doing that. Alright, I finished doing that and I ended up having just a little tiny bit of the dark blue left, not a great deal. I'm going to take my needle tool now and I'm just going to poke in a few little random holes here and there, not many, just a few, just to give an added little extra pattern. Like so. So it's going to look like that. So that's that block done. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other two chunks of one with layers of silver and trans mixed with white, and then the exact same thing, using the block with the green trans and white trans. So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I've just shown you for those two blocks. Okay, so I'll do a little bit more on camera, but the rest I'll do off camera because it's exactly the same process. I'm just getting this into a bit of a smoother block, like so, and I'll bring over my green, and I'm just going to tear off that and layer up with the trans mixed with white, and sorry, that was the trans, and then the trans mixed with white, which is over here, which I'm now going to bring over because it's all the way over there. So I'm just going to tear some of that off and stack like so. Blade again, blunt side down, and cut through. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with this block with the green, the white, and the white mixed, the trans mixed with white, and then the same thing with the last block and the silver with trans and trans mixed with white. I'll be back. All the blocks are completed then, so like I said, I went and did the exact same thing as I did for the blue with the green and the silver, with the little holes in the top, just a few. Now it's just a question of putting this all together. So, right, I want to do this in a certain order. So I'm getting the brown stack first. I'm just going to reshape it a little bit, warm the clay up a little bit. And just bear in mind that when you're putting these together, where you cut down, where the lines are, that's always going to be facing the front on each block, okay? Because you're going to be cutting down this way. But I just want to reshape this a little bit. And you've got to try and make them the same thickness so they all match. So it's just a question of manipulating the clay, really. So I'm going to start with this at the bottom. Just elongate it a little bit. Turn it so the lines are facing the front. And then I'm going to take the silver block that I did the same as these other two, and that's going to go on top of that. You don't have to stack them in this order, but I'm just going by the picture that I've got. And I don't particularly necessarily want this to be a perfectly straight block, so I've just done a little bit of a divot in there. And I'm just going to I think I'm going to cut this in half because it's too much, and I'm just going to pop that there, just on one side, and I'm trying to get it to fit this first stack. It all comes together, and then I want to put the green on that side. So again, I'm going to cut that in half, so you can probably end up making 2 blocks from this, guys, to be fair, because again I've made so much. It's very difficult to gauge, well it is for me anyway, how much clay is needed. So yeah, I'm going to have to take a little bit off that. But you can stack these all together and make another block of some kind. Make sure I've got everything facing the right way. And I'm just kind of putting a little bit of a divot in there, just so it doesn't have to be perfectly straight lines, and just kind of slot that in like that. Compress it down, square it off a little bit. And then I'm going to take the brain fart. chippy choppy on steroids, and do the same thing. Do I want all of this on here or not? It might be a bit much, so I'm just going to cut this in half lengthways, so you're still left with half with the lines facing forward, and that can go into another block. So my measurements were a little off, made too much, but that's fine. I've got more to make another block with. I just didn't want this to be a massive block. And I'm putting that on the top, and then last but not least, the blue's going to go on the top, but that needs to be spread out a little bit lengthways. Okay, let's see if that fits a little bit more. I really hope this turns out as nice as my practice run. Now, even this is quite big, and that's with some of the parts left over. Obviously there's no blue in that, but you could always make another little block of blue and you've got another small block, or you could just chippy choppy it, whichever, or mix it and make another colour, whatever. It's not going to go to waste. But now I want to compress this into more of a square block, so that way I'm also ensuring that I did this happen to me last time where the brown kind of disappeared. There might be some through that when I cut. We'll see. Probably squished too hard, guys, but we'll see. Brown's kind of squished to the back there, the bottom. Oops. Right, I think I'm done compressing this, and I'm just going to take some fairly thick slices and start making the pendants, or whatever it is you want to make. So like I say, it's a stone, so I want to make it, oh good, the brown is there, that's fine. So it just looks like this, but it looks amazing once it's been baked. And you've got the little, all the different little sections. So it's not line, line, line. Obviously I put the green and the silver next to each other, which is kind of similar to what the picture is that I'm looking at. I'm going to roll this out. I'll just make a couple of pieces using this. I'll make some more off camera and show you at the end. Okay, so I'm rolling this out as level as I can, but I want to keep it quite thick. And I'm going to be using some of Oh Joy Creation cutters as usual. I will leave a link in the description for her shop. And I think I'll go with this heart. And you don't have to cut it, you know, straight down. You can cut it at an angle and try and incorporate some of those colours. All of those colours rather, or you don't even have to incorporate all of those colours, it's up to you. But I'm going to try. So I'm going to do this kind of at an angle like that, and that's incorporating all of the colours. So you just need to play around and see where you like the look of the cut. So there's that one. Give it a little wiggle, and then what I like to do with these bits that are left over, I just kind of piece them back together, roll it out, and you may need to add a piece of backing, translucent or something, but then you're not wasting it, and you can make another piece from that. So that's what I do, piece it all together, roll it out so it's all joined up, and cut another piece. So there's the heart. Just grab some paper. Just to pop that on there. Gently lift this, tidy the edges a little bit. So there's that one. And obviously you'll see how it looks once it's baked. Just going to get a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and a wipe just to give it a nice clean around the edges, on the top. Let's give it a quick wipe on the back as well. Not too worried about the crumbly bits on the edges because this is going to get sanded. So there's that one, and that's looking rather lovely. And as you can see, it's quite a chunky piece, which I like when it's faux stones. So I'm going to go and put that in the oven, obviously. I'll bake it for an hour. And for those of you that you don't know, for those of you, I put my teeth in. For those of you who do not know, it is fine to mix different brands of clay. But when you do that, bake at the highest temperature. So if Premo is the highest temperature, then bake at Premo's temperature, because you want to make sure that clay cures. Polymer clay doesn't burn unless you hit 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's not a problem. I'm going to cut another thickish slice, and I've got some left. I'll make some more pieces off camera. So I'll just do one more on camera. Again, I'm rolling it out fairly thick. Like so. And let me think of which other I should have got my cutters ready, shouldn't I? I do this every time. I forget to grab a cutter. Which one do I want to use? I'm not going to do a round domed one today, guys. I'm not. I don't know what it is with me and round domed pieces. I just really like them. But I'm not going to today. So again, I'm going to do this at an angle. I'm not doing it straight up and down. I prefer it like this. Okay, so there's that one. Push it through, give it a little wiggle. And there we go. And same thing, I'm just going to piece this back together. Get rid of that bit. I can roll that out, and that will be another piece. Okay, so there is a little bit of wastage, but not a great deal if you do that. Alright, so there's that piece as well. Alright guys, so I'm going to go and bake these at 275 for an hour, along with the other pieces that I'll make. And I'll be back. Okay guys, I've baked them and I've sanded and buffed them all the way up to 2,500 grit with wet dry sandpaper. I do have a video on how I finish my pieces, so I will leave a link for that as well. But there's the heart one, and I just put a pretty fancy pinch bail on there. These are listed in my Amazon storefront on a simple black wire. They're also listed. So that's that one, sanded and buffed, and I absolutely love it. Personally speaking, I honestly think this is one of the most realistic looking stones I've done, but that's just my opinion. But there's that one. And then the other one that I did on camera, I've not finished it, I've just sanded and buffed. That one. And then a couple more that I did. And again sanded and buffed. So there's those. And then I also did a couple of pair of earrings, which I don't do earrings very often, but I thought I would today. So there's those as well. And I just drilled a hole using my little hand drill listed in my Amazon shop, pushed a gold jump ring through, and then added these flower studs, again listed in my Amazon. Just quite simple, but I think they're rather pretty. So there's those, and then another pair in cross shape. These ones we're using this cutter from Oh Joy Creations. The heart one was using this cutter from Oh Joy Creations. You saw me do that one, and this is just another heart one that I've got. And then the crosses, and that was using this cross from Oh Joy Creations. I love these actually. So there's the crosses, again sanded and buffed. I didn't want to use resin on these ones because they're not overly shiny. They seem to have a nice soft sheen. Alright guys, so that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you later. Bye.